Hello to all strong, wonderful souls from AdiSveta. There is a silent question moving through humanity right now. A question deeper than politics, deeper than systems, deeper than the identities we wear and the roles we perform. It is the question of what we are becoming. Not just as individuals, but as consciousness itself. Because something in the human story feels unfinished. Something in the soul knows that this world, as it has been structured, cannot be the final expression of who we are. And this is where the law of one offers a profound perspective. Ra describes human life in third density as a stage of consciousness, centered on self-awareness and choice, a plane where the soul enters a kind of spiritual forgetting, and through that forgetting begins the long process of choosing its orientation. Will it live in service to others or in service to self? Will it move forward towards unity or deeper into separation? Third density, then, is not simply the world of physical life. It is the world of decision. It is the density where beings become conscious enough to choose their path, but still veiled enough to experience confusion, fear, longing, conflict, ego, attachment, and illusions. And maybe that explains why life here can feel so intense. Because third density is not meant to be easy. It is meant to be catalytic. It is meant to confront the soul with contrast. Love and fear, trust and control, compassion and manipulation, truth and distortion, unity and separation. This realm is a furnace of becoming. And for so long, humanity has lived inside the pressures of this density, trying to build meaning while carrying amnesia, trying to remember light while moving through systems built on survival, scarcity, competition, domination, and fragmentation. That is the texture of the third density consciousness, a world where many people are taught to seek power before peace, control before connection, achievement before alignment, and validation before truth. But according to Ra, the third density is not the destination. It is the threshold. Beyond it lies the fourth density, and Ra describes the fourth density as the density of love or understanding. Not merely emotion, not romance, not a fragile sweetness, but a deeper, organizing force of consciousness, in which compassion, harmony, and relational awareness begins to structure reality in a new way. This is where the soul begins to outgrow certain patterns. It can no longer feed as easily on distortion. It can no longer remain comfortable in perpetual deception. It can no longer experience separation as natural. Something in consciousness begins to revolt against fragmentation. And what replaces is not passivity. It is a higher form of intelligence, the intelligence of love. In this understanding, love is not weakness. Love is not naivety. Love is not the denial of truth. Love is an architecture. It is a way of perceiving reality in which the illusion of separateness begins to thin, and the recognition of deeper unity becomes stronger than the old reflexes of fear. Ra describes positive fourth density as a plane of compassion and understanding, one in which harmony becomes far more natural than it is in the third density. There is greater awareness in one another, less concealment, more collective orientation of consciousness. Imagine what that means. Imagine a state of being where the inner war begins to quiet, where the need of dominate loses to appeal, where the hunger for superiority no longer feels like strength, where love is not something you occasionally touch in fleeting moments, but a field of awareness you live inside. That is the essence of the moment being described. Not an escape from existence, not a fantasy of transcendence, but a reordering of consciousness itself. And maybe that is why so many people now feel that the whole world is cracking. Because perhaps what is collapsing is not reality, but the level of perception, a way of being that was necessary for a time, but can no longer sustain the frequency of what is trying to emerge. Many people sense this transition intuitively. They feel more sensitive, more aware of distortion, less able to tolerate falsehood, less willing to build their life on performances, more drawn towards truth, stillness, sincerity, and inner alignment. And at the same time, they may feel disoriented because whenever consciousness begins to outgrow one density of experience and becomes available to another, there is often a period of friction. The old self is still there. The old systems are still there. The old habits of fear, defense, comparison, and control are still moving through the body and mind. But something deeper has begun to say enough. Enough of living divided from the heart. Enough of calling numbness peace. Enough of calling domination success. Enough of calling spiritual amnesia normal. From the Ra perspective, Earth itself is a transition, and beings are experiencing harvest according to their vibrational readiness, meaning consciousness moves towards the density that best matches what has chosen and become. That is powerful idea because it means ascension in this framework is not performance. It is not status. It is not spiritual image. It is not about reciting the right words or appearing enlightened. It is vibrational. It is about what the soul has actually become through its choices. What do you move towards when no one is watching? How do you respond when life strips you of certainty? What becomes stronger in you through suffering, bitterness, or compassion? When pain comes, do you close further into separation, or do you begin to open into a more honest love? These are density questions. These are harvest questions. And perhaps that is why so much of the modern spiritual path feels less like collecting ideas and more like becoming transparent to your own soul. Because the move from third to fourth density is not the accumulation of concepts. It is a purification of orientation, a deeper inner reordering in which the soul gradually chooses coherence over conflict, presence over distortion, and love over the endless repetition of fear, a turning away from the heaviest illusion of separation, a turning towards compassion as a living principle, a turning towards deeper harmony, group awareness, and more transparent way of being. That alone is immense. Because look at what the third density humanity has normalized. We have normalized anxiety as a lifestyle. We have normalized emotional disconnection. We have normalized systems that profit from depletion. We have normalized power structures that reward control more than wisdom. And yet beneath all of that, the soul has remained intact. Still listening, still waiting, and still remembering in flashes. A knowing that love is not just a moral teaching, but a metaphysical reality. A knowing that consciousness is not trapped in the story, it has been given. A knowing that who we are is deeper than personality, deeper than social structures, deeper even than the visible form. This is why the shift can feel both beautiful and brutal. Beautiful because the heart is opening to a truer order. Brutal because everything false must eventually lose its grip. The soul cannot fully enter a higher coherence while continuing to worship fragmentation. So purification begins. This is transition. This is the soul becoming less available to once what kept it small. And from the Ras perspective, the great moment is always towards greater realization of unity. The remembrance that all beings emerge from one infinite source, and that separation, while experimentally real in the third density, is still ultimately a distortion of deeper truth. So what is soul ascension really? Maybe it is this: a gradual inability to live beneath your own frequency, the quiet refusal to keep fading structures of fear, the deepening capacity to love without possession, to discern without hardening. Maybe it is the moment when consciousness no longer wants to win the old game. It wants truth. It wants alignment. It wants reunion. And maybe that is what so many are feeling now. Not just chaos, not just awakening, but initiation. And another field is arriving, a field in which love is no longer weakness, a field in which heart is no longer secondary to control, a field in which humanity begins, however imperfectly, to remember the deeper design. So if you have felt that in your soul changing, if you have felt less able to participate in old illusion, if you have felt called towards truth, towards compassion, towards stillness, towards a more coherent and heart-centered way of being, and perhaps you're sensing the pressure of transition, the passage from the density of choice into the density of love. And perhaps the real ascension is not about leaving earth behind. Perhaps it is about becoming inwardly capable of the reality trying to be born through earth now. And you are in the transition of your reality. This is AdiSveta, your journey to remembrance.